I have an interest in trying to protect as much of the environment as possible. One can choose to be political about it, but I want to create enough interest in water through my work that others will begin to share the same beauty and the same understanding that I have of moving water. It's really about that.
You know, buildings are often named after big money donors, right? Crosse is taking a very different tack. If a Ho-Chunk student sees Truman T. Lowe's name on the Fine Arts Center at Crosse, and that's a pretty powerful representation right there. Truman donated, I'm sure, as an alum, but he never gave tons of money. The family didn't give tons of money to the school. It sort of speaks to Truman's legacy. He really influenced thousands of students in general, but he had a very strong impact on Native graduate students as well. He grew up outside of Black River Falls on what's called the Indian Mission. It's a Ho-Chunk community where he was surrounded by extended family and a really close-knit community. Ho-Chunk was his first language, which was not unusual in that community. He grew up with a real understanding of Ho-Chunk culture and heritage. He really kind of entered into being an artist through his experiences at UW-La Crosse, or Wisconsin State as it was called then. He had a lot of great professors there, very involved in their artistic careers. That's where I think he realized that he could become an artist as well. His favorite medium was wood. His father was an excellent basket maker, so he prepared the wood for the baskets that Truman's mother made. He had this deep, deep knowledge of the properties of wood, which I think Truman sort of took on himself as a sculptor. He understood those symbiotic relationships of static versus moving. As he often said, wood is liquid, ultimately.
I want to create enough interest in water through my work that others will begin to share the same beauty and the same understanding that I have of moving water.
He was a bit of a romantic, some say, but there's also a real reverence for his Native heritage that is very evident. He would consider himself a minimalist, reducing forms down to their bare essentials. Truman epitomized that in his work. Even though he was working in this fine art tradition, this avant-garde modernist tradition as an artist, he incorporated the traditional arts and crafts of the Ho-Chunk in particular. He was one of the foremost Native American artists of the late 20th century. He really appreciated the opportunity to learn more about himself and the world through higher education. And he wanted others to have that same kind of experience. And so he became a real advocate for Native students getting into higher education.
His life goal was really to promote Native art, to bring Native art out of the past and into the present, and have people think about it as a living, breathing, evolving thing. And everything he did were in service of that bigger goal.
He was very much sort of the champion on the UW-Madison campus for all things Native American. The coordinator of the Native American Studies program from 1975 to 1988, and that was really an early period for the Native American Studies program. It had only been started a few years before that. He mentored and helped countless individuals, and I consider myself one of those.
The dedication of this building is incredibly amazing for our family, for his legacy, all the work that he put into promoting Native art and encouraging Native students to go to school.
It was the chancellor's idea, his brainchild. He had recently seen an exhibit of Truman's art. This was shortly after Truman passed away. And he thought that would be a wonderful way to celebrate UW-La Crosse alumni.
And we know that representation matters. And being a Native student coming onto campus and knowing that there's a building named after a Ho-Chunk artist is the university's way of saying, we see you and we believe in you.
La Crosse meant so much to him. He would have a big grin on his face. It couldn't be more beautiful.
You never know where the water is going to travel next as it begins to overflow its banks or begins to move its channel. You never really know what's going to happen. So maybe that's a part of it. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it, really.